Is Danny from the Stop ruining the Rory and Mal's podcast? Now, I'm not here to say that he is. I'm not here to say that he isn't. However, there is an argument to be made that the seeds of the inevitable Rory and Mal podcast breakup have been planted. And I'm just here to present the evidence. These are not my words. These are theirs. Let's roll the tape.
That's one thing I wanted to get back to is like, do you forecast how Rory and Mal will end? Or do you kind of even give that any thought? Or is it too hurtful to even think about that?
No, it's not even that case. I mean, Mal and I know we're not going to break up over the bullshit that has happened before, even others that I've seen break up. Mal and I, that would never be. We could split amicably at some point maybe, and that's based off this life shit.
That's right. You heard what he had to say. Rory and Mal could eventually split amicably at some point, but not today, right? Not today. Today, they don't have any creative differences, right? Today, they are lockstep, right? Wrong! You're just wrong. Rory and Mal have clear creative differences. In fact, Mal had an issue with Danny doing an interview with Rory on his platform. These are not my words. These are his. Let's roll the tape.
You did an interview and
Danny from the Stop. Shout out to Danny from the Stop.
You said something. I was like, somebody said it to me. I was like, what the fuck is Rory talking about?
What?
It was something along the line. I think you got mixed up in your words because you said that we had reached out to be on $1 million worth of game.
Okay.
And didn't get a response. I never text a nigga and didn't get a response about me. First of all, I never text nobody asking to be on their show. I just want to clear that part up.
Gotcha.
But it's just like, what type of person is this person? Who is this person?
Okay.
Because then you end up sitting down with somebody having an interview, and then 2 months later you find out this person's a piece of shit, and now you plastered all over their platform. It's like, but you didn't even know this person, but because you wanted to just go sit on the platform and do an episode, you jumped out there. But it's like, yeah, this person's a fucking cocksucker. This is a piece of shit. Now you on their platform. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I be trying to stay away from. It's like
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to be able to know that Y equals MX plus B to be able to put 2 and 2 together. Who was Mal talking about? Who was sitting down with someone they barely knew conducting an interview? Who was plastered all over someone else's platform? But nevertheless, the question still remains. Is Danny ruining the Rory and Mal podcast? Does Danny secretly hope that the Rory and Mal podcast breaks up so that it can lead to the reunion of the original JBP, with the exception of Mal? Now, if you're asking me, I think that Danny is a fan of the podcast game. I think that Danny is a loyal supporter of the Rory and Mal podcast. However, Danny comes from the school of Joe Budden, and that school specializes in chaos. I mean, just go back and replay episode 250 of the Rory and Mal podcast, and you will see the aftermath of all of the chaos that ensued after Rory visited the Stop. I mean, it was so many creative differences that Danny himself had to make a video about all of the creative differences. I mean, sheesh.
I'm gonna be sitting down with somebody. I ain't gonna say who, but
ooh, don't blow it up.
Some people up here might not like it.
I think I know who you're talking about. Don't blow it up.
You sitting with somebody over the weekend, having a nice little.
He get everybody, huh?
I mean, Rory went to the Stop. Imani went to the Stop. Adam 22 took a visit down the Stop sign street. Even Julian. And Julian, who was a terrible, terrible podcaster. I mean, you're one step better than Ice, but that's not saying much. But even Julian, as terrible as he is, he went to the Stop. But yet, Mal clearly wants nothing to do with it. But Rory does. He chose to go in there by himself, which brings more light to this last clip I'm going to throw for you all right here.
But that's the thing, like, if you and Mal start doing content separate of each other and then announce the podcast is ending, it's obviously something's up. Something's up. It's the Rory and Mal podcast. And unless there's a forecasted reason as to why you're doing it, and you're like, me and Mal are going to do content different, we're going to be doing things on our separate, but it's going to be under the same umbrella versus just doing it without any announcement, then it's kind of weird.
Yeah, Danny, it is kind of weird. And it is interesting. But what I find most interesting is this. I can see scenarios in the future where you have podcasters who are highlighting Danny from the Stop as one of the reasons for their breakups, right? Not because of words that they themselves haven't already said, simply because he is the one that's highlighting some of the words that they say, right? Danny is the one that's taking 2 hours worth of content and breaking it down into a 7-minute video so that it's digestible to the average listener. And I'll be curious to see how Danny begins to navigate that going forward. I really am. But you all tell me, does Danny, or is Danny from the Stop breaking up the podcast? Is he going to become one of the reasons podcasters fail? I don't know. But rest assured that Caleb from Twitter will be here to break it down.